Hello.
Hola. It's a bright. Oh, I moved that light last night and I didn't put it back. Shoot.
Oh, well,
Doesn't
I mean,
matter.
that's okay. I don't mind. Different lighting's always good. Welcome here, everybody, to another Guitareo Live Q&A. I'm playing a guitar I never play anymore, which is so sad.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one in a while.
Yeah, and then I remembered why, which is because it's very noisy. And in this room, we are having problems with noise, which you guys probably notice. Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah.
And so when we do any playing today, I am doing no compression, no distortion, very clean to try and not annoy you guys. But we'll see. But anyways, welcome here. If you guys have any questions, you can submit those in the chat or you can submit those in the box below the video player. And those will get sent off to Nate and then we will answer them. Nothing guitar-wise is off limits. We're happy to talk about gear. We're happy to talk about whatever you're working on. If you have a very specific guitar question, we would love to answer it, and we can even expand on it if we don't have a ton of questions.
Yep.
I don't know if you have. Do you have anything in mind that you
Not
want to talk
really.
about today?
I did quite a bit of live stuff last night, so
Right.
I kind of got all of it out yesterday.
Cool, cool. So yeah, then while we wait for you guys to get your questions in, we will do a little jam that we didn't practice.
I've been recording Foo Fighters stuff all day long. Well, not all day long, but quite for a chunk of the day.
Yep.
For a video that I have to record a Thursday, so we're just gonna. What's the name? What's the name of the song? I don't even
Oh
know.
no.
Huh?
Learn to fly.
Learn to Fly.
Learn to
That's
Fly.
right. I'm terrible with song names, guys.
So we're gonna play that, but make sure you guys get your questions in. Sorry, continue.
But like for the clean parts, well, there's nothing really clean on Foo Fighters stuff. There's almost clean stuff, but like I have my drive channel on this amp just cranked pretty heavy, right? But for the clean stuff, all I did was roll back. I didn't touch my amp all day.
Just roll back.
roll back.
Oh, that sounds so good, even in the room here.
I don't know what it sounds like out there, but sounds just like the album because he used Mesa Boogie on most
really?
of the early albums. Yeah.
I actually didn't know that. I would have assumed Voxes. or
He did
Marshalls.
use Voxes for clean tones.
Oh,
clean tones.
that does make sense.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not going to be distorted because otherwise you'll just hear screeching. So it's going to be very clean. But we'll try and make it happen anyway.
Cool.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4. Wait.
Nice.
So that's if you want to just jam along to that song. That's how you, like the main, not the like the riffy part, but it's just like a B sussy kind of chord, and then you just flip these two fingers and your index finger, and you make it what ends up being like a F minor 9. Let me get this flying right. You can throw the root in the bottom if you want. F sharp minor 9.
What makes it a 9 there?
I'm not even sure if it is a 9. F G is
you
not
have B and
a
E,
9.
right?
It's I have it right here. What is it? It's an 11 without a 9, I think.
Okay, okay.
So F, G, A, B, C, D, E. Yeah, that's the 7. F, G, A, B, and B is the 4 or the 11.
Right.
And then just the E. So Fun song to play, not too hard.
Yeah, super simple. I mean, yeah, it's the one thing I think that scares people away from some like rock tunes is like the bar chord thing, and there's no bar chords in
Yeah,
it
no
at
bar
all.
chords.
You're just using bar chordy kind of shapes, but
And Dave Grohl's watching a video with him the other day, and he's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I just find a chord that sounds good. I don't even know what this is.
classic drummer playing guitar.
I know that's an E.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
That's awesome. I mean, that's how some of the
I'm
best.
gonna go make $1 million.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously though. Dude's an actual genius. Actually, there's some great quotes from Marty Friedman. And what he talks about a lot is you stick your pick to your forehead. Totally distracted me. That was hilarious. He was talking about a really cool concept that I just thought was really cool, so I thought I'd share with you guys. But is that some of the best musicians in the world aren't great players, and there's a lot of people who spend all their time practicing, just learning a bunch of techniques, and they never actually learn to like
They
do the
don't make
music
much
part.
good music.
And so it's cool, like with someone like Dave Grohl, it's
Yeah.
like some iconic songs. I mean, Foo Fighters have some just absolute monsters, like Everlong. There's so many, right?
They're like while you're at the grocery store shopping. That's how that's when you know
Big
you're
time.
big.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's how you know you've made it when you're being played at a
Not
grocery store.
Yeah.
But I thought that was kind of a cool sentiment, right? Because it's like some of those guys are not the greatest players all the time. So I'm just saying, don't feel discouraged if you want to start writing music and you're not like, don't feel
And you
like
don't
you've
know
arrived.
all of the chords.
Yeah, seriously. Well, I don't think I don't have any questions in here yet. So I don't know if you want to talk, we can come up with like a little subject or something that we could talk about.
Let me prod the people first. You have less than a week left to get your videos in for Student Focus in the forums. You can either email to Andrew or myself, or you can just post a link to it in the forums. But you have 1 week left. Next week is Student Focus Week, so we're going to spend the whole hour, or however long we're here for the live broadcast, just reviewing student videos, telling them what they're doing great, telling them what they could work on and to improve. And that's like one of the big missing links for like online education. So it can be really valuable. It can really chop some time off your playing just to get some feedback, like, oh, try this, keep doing that, don't do this, that kind of thing. So make sure you get those in ASAP, and I'll check some. Oh, there is a question in here.
Okay.
Look at that.
Look at that. I'm not going to try and do an accent. I can't do any accents.
That was pretty good.
Thanks, man.
Okay, let's see. Lewis says, I was looking at a video today on theory, and could you guys talk a bit about how you use intervals with your guitar playing? Yes. Oui. I was going to do, I had an idea for a video, for a YouTube video.
Yeah.
Just a ear training daily routine, because I came across my college daily routine packet that we did every day, or like 3 days a week. We're supposed to do it every day. But like a lot of the stuff in there was intervals.
Right.
And like you don't even, it's not, I don't even think about like music theory when I think about intervals. I just think about identifying sounds.
Yeah.
Like a fifth, sound of a fifth. Or sound of a fourth.
Yeah.
Or sound of
With the
everyone's
tritone.
favorite. Yeah, like a lot, if my ear is good enough in a situation where I'm like, oh, I'm on this note and I want to hear a minor third away from there, I'll do that. Or if I want to hear a fifth away from there, or if I know like this sounds Lydian to me,
Okay.
then I'll do something like that. But that's how I use intervals for the most part. That and learning music when I'm away from my guitar. Hearing chord progressions and picking chord progressions, I use intervals a lot.
So I think a lot of people, like, if they were to analyze my playing, would assume that I probably do more intervallic style rather than maybe like a 3-note per string or cage style more so. But honestly, I don't think about it in like a lead guitar context that often. So like when I play intervals, I'm just trying to think like, I'll use them on double stops and things like that from time to time, but like, I'm not really thinking like, what is that? What is that? What is that? Like, I'm not really doing that often. What I will do is I will do intervals when I'm coming up with like a rhythm guitar part. So like root third stuff, like. So that's super simple. All I'm doing is I'm playing the root and the third, right? When I do that. and I'm using my thumb, but you could easily play it like this. And all that is when you play like a G major, full G major chord, if I were to just play this note on the bottom and that note, and then I do the same thing with B minor here, and then the same thing with A major. So that would be like a really simple way of kind of starting to play with intervals, is just picking, and I mean, when you play power chords, you're kind of doing interval stuff, right?
100%.
So occasionally when I'm maybe writing a guitar part or playing along with Nate or another musician, I will feel like something calls for like, because it's sometimes like, it almost sounds, what is the Gregorian? Like those old chants that are like very drony that were all fifths. I feel like it has a cool quality, and so that would be an example of me using what would be considered intervals. But I'm not really overthinking it too much. There's other one, those types of things that I'll do, but all of them are usually in a rhythm guitar context if I'm going to do that type of thing. So that's my approach more. I know there's a lot of great players out there that have like an entirely intervalic
and
approach.
There are like two basic ways to do it when you're thinking about lead. You can think of everything as related to like do or one, and you hear like you hear it a 5, or you can hear a 3, or you can like play, and then you're like on this note, and that can become do or 1, right? And then you can do a fifth away from there, or a third away from there.
Right.
And it's like, I think they call it between fixed do and movable do, as far as like ways to think about intervals, but. And my mind kind of flip-flops back and forth depending on what I'm trying to do. If I'm trying to figure out chord progressions, do is fixed. If I'm trying to play, I don't know, sometimes if I'm picking out a melody or a lead line that's like a part, then it'll be fixed. If it's not, and I'm just kind of noodling around, and do becomes kind of movable to where like I'm playing off of whatever current note that I just landed on.
Yeah.
And that to me is a little harder.
I think, like, if I were to explain my approach, that's interesting that you explain it that way. It actually totally makes sense in my head, which usually when you explain music theory stuff to me, because I'm the worst at music theory, I've learned a lot actually from you, but it doesn't make sense. But the whole idea of fixed and movable do, like that totally makes sense. But I probably do like a version where when I'm playing a note that's not like the root note of the key, then I would only play the intervals from that note that would exist in the existing key.
Right.
So I couldn't play like, if I was playing in the key of A minor, I couldn't go.
Right.
I would know that that's like,
Right.
I would know that those would be my only allowable intervals if I were to play them. It's interesting. I think there's a lot of really cool playing that can be done from interval stuff, and I feel like from a personal point, I've never really scratched the surface, but I find it very cool.
Yeah. David Becker kind of does that, but he kind of bases things off of chords a lot. But he definitely thinks about intervals in relation to like what chord he's playing over.
Right.
And then Brett Garsted, my favorite guitar player, he thinks about nothing but intervals. And
That's what I was trying to.
because you cannot pin down like shapes when he's playing. Like, what the heck is going on?
Interesting. That's really interesting. I know Brad Paisley is very much like that as well. If you're a Brad Paisley fan at all.
I like the album Play. I love. That's awesome.
Saw him live. Best guitar player I've ever seen.
Wow.
Maybe Derek Trucks was better, but he was up there.
Follow up from Louis says, or Lewis, thanks guys. Andrew mentioned power chords. Those are the perfect fifth, right?
Yeah, they are perfect fifths. Yeah, exactly. The reason why we call them perfect fifths is because there's not like a major or a minor, right? That would be the explanation.
Correct, yeah.
So like with thirds, for example, we have a major third and a minor third. And when we play fifths, there's basically nothing between a major third and a minor sixth. Or sorry, a perfect 4 and a minor 6, right?
Say it again.
Okay, so you have minor third, major third, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, minor 6th, major 6th,
Try 5, minor 6, same thing.
Right, like if it's like a tri, like yeah. So the idea would just be that there's no room in the intervals for a major and a minor 4 or a major and a minor 5. So we just call them perfect 4 and perfect 5.
We're one short because all that's in between is a tritone.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
But like a part, here's a good exercise for you. Part of the daily routine that we had was to do this. Let's see what's a good place. 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, 1, 1, 4, 1, 1 6 1 1 7 1 1 1 1. And what that does is I would do it much slower than that, probably something like this. 1 2 1, and then do that a few times, and then move on to 1 3 1. It's just a major scale, going back and forth between 1 and 2, then 1 and 3, then 1 and 4, then 1 and 5, 1 and 6, 1 and 7, 1 and 8. And what that's going to do is going to train your ear to instantly recognize, like, hey, that's a major seventh. And then you can start doing that with notes outside of the major scale too, like chromatic scale.
Nice. Yeah, the music theory stuff I always find interesting. I just see in chat here, Daphne mentioning I'm weak on music theory. I keep meaning to learn more about it, and then Lewis saying, so am I, Daphne. That's why I asked the guys to spend a little time on it. Music theory is a weird one for me, and Nate, you started learning music theory very early on in your playing, would you say?
No, I like in college. Like I really didn't know a ton. I read some books and got some stuff from videos and things.
But then it really started kind of happening in college. And I didn't go to music college, and so when I learned kind of just like on my own, and then I got to kind of a certain point, I found I really did plateau without knowing music theory. I think like especially as far as coming up with parts and writing and stuff, like as I began to understand more about music theory, I felt like I was able to like understand what I was trying to get out in my ears or like in my head, like what I was trying to hear.
Oh, that's what that is.
Yeah, and I'm still majorly a student of music theory, but as somebody who maybe 5 years ago would have said, don't learn music theory, Jimi Hendrix never learned music theory, you don't need it. I definitely would recommend everybody learn, at least like have a really good understanding of music theory. You don't need to, if you want to, you can, but I don't think you need to dive deep into like all that crazy like jazz theory and stuff like that.
If you can understand like basic major key music theory, then you can figure the rest out. It's just a matter of how deep you want to take it.
It depends what your goals are.
Based on what kind of music you want to learn. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you can understand basic music theory, you can understand the other stuff. You just have to dig more.
Are you a good sight reader? Like
it depends on the year.
What you've been working on?
When I was in school, I was a good sight reader, and when I did the reading for the Guitareo members area, I was a good sight reader. I'm not a good sight reader right now.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
I don't use it.
Right. How often would you say that you read sheet music compared to tabs or using your ear?
Josh made me read sheet music the other day when we were shooting videos.
Did he?
I had this book. It was a jazz book. That's like, this is the driest book in the world. He opens it and he's like, read that. And I was like, okay. So I read the melody line. It wasn't great, but it's better than I thought it would be.
That's impressive. It's funny, guitar players just be like, most of us never learn to read sheet music. It's
so hard to motivate yourself to learn to read sheet music unless you're going to be using it.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm going to learn Japanese. You're going to go to Japan? No.
That's a fair point, yeah.
If you're going to Japan, yes, 100%. Yeah. I'm motivated.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I haven't been in a place yet where I felt like I needed to learn sheet music, but...
Well, this is back in the day. I don't know if things are still the same way, but I just read Steve Lukather's autobiography. Mm-hmm. And like he said, one of the main reasons he got to where he was being a studio musician is because he could read like a...
Yeah.
And that got him in, and then he built his chops and stuff. And he's like, he's the #1 session guitarist in LA for like all the 80s.
That is super true about session players being able to read sheet music. Yeah. That is absolutely true. More so, less so in Nashville. Nashville uses a very different system.
This is like on Diana Ross albums or something, right?
Well, I mean, you think about it, it's like you can't give tabs of something to a piano player, a cellist, or a horn player. You need to give them sheet music. And so it's kind of weird, like you can't communicate in the same language.
Yeah, it's like guitar players have this bastardized version of English that they call tab, and they expect, and they don't think they have to be able to communicate with other musicians a lot of times. I
mean, we're lucky because we have tab and it's a lot easier to read, but I will move on here. This one is from David. Nate, how did you, it was not you guys, I was no part of this. How did you make your fingerstyle version of Yesterday arrangement? Melody by ear first, the bass line. How did you decide on the various bass lines?
Let's see, let me get a different setup here. First, I went through and I did the bass line and kind of identified the chords at the same time. I couldn't play it right now if you asked me. I haven't played it in 2 months.
Yeah.
But I would go through and identify the bass lines and let's see. I think it's an F. Let's say it's an F. I identified the chords first, and then for the bass line, I tried to stay, for whatever chord I was playing, I tried to stay to roots and fifths as much as possible on the bass, alternating bass notes. So if like you're playing an F, this is no problem right here because it's all roots and fifths. But when you go to like a C, the third sounds kind of weird. It doesn't sound as stable. So I skip up to the fifth. And if it's an A like this, A minor, those three notes are fine because they're root, fifth,
Right.
root. So just try to stick to fifths and roots as much as possible on your bass lines for that type of playing. And then once I had it mapped out with the bass lines and chords, just went and put the melody on top. And if there's a spot where I could get some kind of double stop harmony that wasn't too hard with like the open chords for the melody, then I would put that in there too. That's it.
And you probably learn the melody just by ear.
Yeah, I just listened to the tune several times, and I looked at some tabs online and I was like, this isn't right. So I just listened to it by ear and did what I heard, whether it's right or wrong.
And when you do that, are you thinking of like the 12 notes? Are you thinking of just in the key? Like you find the key first and then focus on that?
Well, the key is like right off the bat's first thing,
Yeah.
before anything else.
Yeah.
But like I hear, because I went to music school, I hear everything in do re mi's. Like,
Okay.
but it's the same thing. It's
Yep.
the semantics. You can do re mi is 1, 2, 3, right?
Yeah.
So I hear that and I can just hear melodies unless it's weird. I'm like, oh, what is that? Like a flat 6 or something.
Right.
Yep, and then just put it out. And then after that, like I'll pick a key and I'm like, oh dear, this is not gonna work.
Yeah.
Or I have to use a capo, and with different shapes, just because the melody is prohibitively, something like this.
Right.
So the voicing may have to change. That happens maybe like every other time I do one of those. I'm like, this is not gonna work with these shapes. I have to do something else.
Yeah.
So I end up trying to pick up, like as I'm doing the melody, I'm like, okay, does anything go above this note? Does anything go below this note? If so,
Right.
it's gonna probably have to be adjusted.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
That makes sense.
And Guitar Pro is lifesaver. Because I can't, it takes me weeks to learn a song, but it takes me like an hour to notate it out.
Yeah. You basically you compose in Guitar
Just
Pro.
plug it in there and
And then you
it's
use
there
that
for
as
you.
your tabs that you'll learn physically.
And you're like, oh dear, I can't play that. That finger's not gonna work. You just switch it.
There's a lot of players that do that.
Yep.
There's a lot of players. I've heard that a lot.
It's a good writing tool, man.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Oh, this question. Turnbull, what's going on? I'm learning songs I want to do to both sing and play the guitar part. Do you have any tips on that? When should I learn the singing part? After I learn the guitar part? You're asking the wrong person, but I've heard a lot of people talk about this because I don't sing and play. But yeah, learn the parts individually first, really well. So I get the guitar part to where you have to think about it, and then I'll make it 10 times easier when you start putting the singing in. Learn the singing by itself first to where you don't have to think about it too. And then put them together.
Do you know who Alexi Leo is?
I know the name.
He's from Children of Bodom, of all bands. It's a very, very, very intense metal band. And I used to listen to a lot of metal when I was younger. And I watched an interview of him probably 10 years ago. And they said, because he's the lead guitar player and lead vocalist. And the stuff he plays is just
Insane.
nightmarishly insane. Like, there's no chance that anyone would be able to just play it, let alone he sings over the whole thing. He's not singing, he's like doing like a growling thing. Yeah. And so they asked him, how do you go about doing that? And what he says is you find rhythmic cues that line up with one another in the vocal pattern. So he would learn the guitar part and have it so down you don't even have to think about it, right? But obviously it's still very hard and you do need to use some of your brain to do it. So then what he would do is then he would come up with the vocal part, and then the vocal part and the guitar part don't always line up perfectly. Like you'll know when you're strumming and when you're singing at the same time as you're strumming, it's not like you're strumming and singing at the exact same time.
At
like
the same time, yeah.
Exactly, it doesn't work. So what you have to do is you have to find certain words in the phrasing of the melody that line up with the 1 or the 3 or wherever it lines up, and then you kind of make those mental connections. And then the idea is, as you work through it, those become your reference points to make sure that you keep in time with everything. So it's interesting. I mean, that's obviously way above the level that we can do or you guys are probably trying to do. But I would say when you're strumming, use your hand as a metronome and try and sync them.
Yeah, and you can just simplify the strumming all downstrokes just to start out.
Yeah.
To get going.
Yeah, that's good. Did Chelsea do a YouTube lesson
Yep,
once
this
about
is a
singing and
YouTube
playing?
video singing and playing. I don't know. The name's probably something like that.
I would suggest checking it out. I think it might have been like 8 tips for singing or
Yeah.
something like that, singing and playing guitar. It was with Nate's wife Chelsea, and it's an awesome lesson. She has tons of tips because she sings and plays guitar. That's
she
like her
actually
thing.
does it.
Yeah, that's her.
instead of hearsay.
Let's see. David says, do you let your hand float or do you anchor it when you're doing the fingerstyle stuff?
That one, anything with the thumb pick that I do, I anchor my hand. And it mostly depends on the style of music. If it's like the alternating bass kind of stuff, any kind of Travis picking, then I tend to float. I'm sorry, anchor, because I'm using a thumb pick. If I don't use a thumb pick, it depends completely on the style of music. If it's more classical stuff, then I tend to float it. But I'd say it's probably half and half without a thumb pick. And with a thumb pick, it's 100% anchored. Or, well, that's not true. Mostly anchored.
Nice.
It really depends on the song. That's what it comes down to.
Let's see. Daphne says, what was the name of the musician that Andy mentioned? I have to tell you.
Oh. Last time I heard somebody call him that. Oh.
You can call me Andrew.
You can call me Andrew.
You know why I have a problem with the name Andy? The specific reason is because of Andy from The Office. If you've ever watched The Office,
I can see that.
I just don't like that.
That connotation?
Yeah. I don't know.
Oh,
It ruined the name for
100%.
me. There was a guy that I knew for a very long time, and he called me Andy all the time. And you know what? I just didn't like him.
Just
and I
to
don't
make you
really
mad?
want. Yeah, what?
Just to make you mad?
No. He was
just
a
thought it
very
was-
charismatic figure, and he was older, and he just was like, I don't know. He just felt like it was his right to call me Andy all the time. So then I just was like, but it's totally okay. You can call me Andy. I won't get mad.
But he doesn't prefer it.
But I'd rather be called Andrew. But it's all good. Sorry, Andrew. It's totally okay. The musician that I mentioned. Oh man, what?
Marty Friedman?
There's Marty Friedman. Who else did
What's
I mention?
you were talking about Derek Trucks and
Brad Paisley and Derek Trucks.
the metal guy, singer and player.
His name's Alexi Laiho. It's
Yeah.
Laiho. Honestly, Children of Bodom's music's a little cheesy now. When
I
listen
haven't
to
heard
it.
any of their stuff in a while.
It's
so.
just, I mean, it's a little dated, but at the same time, like, I'm sure there's still a big band that people like. I used to really like them. They're very, like, it's a lot of growling. Yeah, exactly. David says, wow, Daphne, you're in the doghouse now. No, it's totally okay. But yeah, Alexi Laiho from Children of Bodom is the band. Definitely impressive guitar playing and that stuff. Okay, I'm all caught up on here so far. We got lots of time still though, so I don't know if you want to, what else can we talk about?
Let's see. I got my OCD working. I don't know what I did, but I got it working.
It sounds funny if people don't know what
I got my OCD fixed. It's in full OCD mode.
the OCD is a pedal.
How many pedals are on your board? 1, 2,
7. Not that many.
1, 2, no. I was
I see what you're
yeah.
doing, yeah. Oh man.
I was seriously, I was like, I have to go. It's like the world, Universal's not right. It's like, I have to have one.
Yeah.
So I started looking on Craigslist and I was prepared to drive out to North Van like sometime this week.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Wait, so you got it fixed?
I got it working. We'll
Yeah.
see if it stays good. I redid my pedal board this weekend.
I saw that.
And I have it there, but I have some backup pedals in case it doesn't work, just in case.
When it's bypassed, it's fine, right?
Yep.
Okay. So, oh yeah, because they'd be true bypass, so there wouldn't be any issue. I've had problems before with pedals that are not true bypass, and if they break, you can't just bypass them because the buffer inside will stop any signal from going through. OCD is one of my favorite pedals. I think I said that last week.
Yep.
I love that pedal.
I was tempted to sell my wife's, but she's using it.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's see here. Lewis says-
There's a new video that just came out today.
Oh,
It'll be
Guitareo.
up in the members area tomorrow because the guy who puts up those videos was gone by the time it came out on YouTube today.
He's got strep throat.
But I didn't know that.
Are you talking about Randy?
No, I'm talking about.
Yeah. Right.
That's the second person I've heard have strep throat in a week. It's going around. Scary.
Yeah.
Not in the other one wasn't at work. Anyway, what was I saying? The video.
The video.
It's 12 songs beginners for beginner guitar players. So it's just a quick video. It's like 12 to 13 minutes long. On people are always asking me, what song should I learn? What song should I learn? I'm just getting started. I've learned my chords. What should I learn? So it's 12 of my like top songs for like strummy type things with open chords and just strumming pattern. A couple bar chords in there, but you don't have to play bar chords. You can play power chords if you want. But if you're like thinking, what song should I learn? Go watch that video and go learn a couple of those. There's a huge variety in there, so there should be
very much spanned the gamut.
On purpose.
Lots of different stuff. It's very good. David asked, Nate, what happened to the Facebook feed last night? I lost you.
I don't know. It was weird. Like I have no clue. I was on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at the same time. Oh, I don't know at what point because eventually my iPad died.
Okay.
But I told everybody that was going to happen. But there was trouble with the stream on Facebook last night the whole time. So.
Man, live streaming, it's still like so new on those platforms. They still have issues with it. It's unfortunate.
Because Instagram was acting weird as well. I don't know. It may have been the internet connection here.
Fair enough. But did you do it here?
Yeah.
Nice. Sometimes the Wi-Fi is finicky in here. It is. Next one here from Daphne. Is there a place where I can print out the 5 pentatonic scale shapes?
There should be. There are 2 lessons on guitarlessons.com YouTube channel with the pentatonic scales, all 5 of them. And I believe, let me see if I can find it real quick.
It's worth checking.
Stall. Videos. Pentatonic.
I'll play something pretty with this.
It's coming. There, I just put it in the chat.
Nice, perfect. Okay,
You may have to just save the image in there of the 5 scale shapes and just print that off, but they're there. They're there.
Okay, on to the next question here. This one is from Lewis. Gear question for the guys. What do you think about PRS guitars? I just got a used SE. My girlfriend is on my case to sell something now. And it seems really cool. Do either of you guys play PRS style guitars, and what are your thoughts?
The trick to that is to buy all the same color guitar. That way she doesn't know if you have a new one or not.
Smart.
Just saying.
Nate, what do you think about PRS? Do you think
I
they're
just
okay?
bought a PRS myself. I like them. I think they're pretty versatile. Like their quality control, I think is better than Gibson and Fender. I like their fit, finish, and quality control. I think it's better. It's different sounding than a Gibson or a Fender, but if you like that, it's good.
Yep. I recently have been wanting a PRS really bad. Probably just because I'm a big John Mayer fan, and he plays a lot of. I mean, his signature guitar is a PRS.
Would you get a Silver Sky? Would you get like a humbucker?
No, I would not. No, like the Strat thing. It's like I've got my dream Strat.
I've
with
got
the
a
Sir.
Strat,
Yeah,
fine.
it's good enough.
Yeah.
But and the PRS one, it's basically a very slight variation on a Strat. It's nothing like crazy.
It's like a Sir. It's essentially the same thing.
It
as
is.
Sir.
Yeah, it's just like a more hot, like more modern version of a Stratocaster is basically what it, I think they painted them all in Tesla colors too. All the colors are from Tesla. But I love the Paul's guitar and the 408, I think, are the
Paul's
two.
guitar is freaking nice.
Oh, the Paul's guitar would be like the dream one. Because I think it
$6
uses
grand?
those. Yeah. It's a lot of money and
You can get a good PRS on Craigslist for like $2 grand.
totally.
Canadian.
And I actually really like the McCarty.
I like McCarty too.
It's kind of like their
Chunky.
attempt at doing like a Les Paul. And I
stays in
say
tune?
attempt, but pardon?
This stays in tune.
Yeah, but the idea is like it will stay in tune, and I think they use wraparound bridges on almost everything, which I actually prefer over the Tune-o-matic bridges, which is just a preference. I love PRS stuff. I don't personally have one, more just because I'm a bit of a traditionalist in the form of I like Strats and Tellys and Les Pauls, and even though this is like not traditional, it's kind of trying to be traditional.
Yeah.
And so I'm not super like into the modern stuff, but
They definitely have their own sound. It's like the modern sound of a guitar.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, and they sound amazing. So good pickup, very nice. Next one here from Mike. What did you two think of the work of Glenn Campbell, who recently passed?
I'm the wrong person to ask about that. I went down a wormhole one night on YouTube for Glenn Campbell stuff. This was before he died. This was probably like 2 years ago, I think. And I was like, what the heck? This guy's insane. I didn't know he was that good of a player until I went down that wormhole and watched all those videos. But like I always thought of him as somebody that my grandpa would listen to, right?
Okay.
So that's about as ignorant as I am on it. So
I honestly will say the same. Like I couldn't even tell you one of his songs, which is really sad to say. I just never listened to that style of music, and I grew up around like U2 was like the music that I listened to, so I just never was exposed to it. So, but sad to hear about his passing for sure. Next one here, this is from Lewis. That is a really cool guitar, Andrew. Thank you.
it is. It's very vibey.
It was my wedding present from my wife, which is really, really nice of her. And it was kind of like my dream guitar at the time, and it doesn't get enough play anymore.
It's unfortunate that our dream guitars change. Otherwise, we only need one guitar for the rest of our lives.
I know. It makes me sad. You have more than twice as many guitars as I have, and I still don't play the ones that I want to enough. Oh, it's bad. I don't know. Let's see. Let's carry on. It's a Fano, by the way. If you ever want to look into Fano, I think they actually, I'm sad to say, I believe they sold to another company.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so they're not making them the same way anymore. Basically, they were designed by a guy named Dennis Fano, and he made them, and he owned the company that made them, and then he partnered with Premier Builders Guild.
Yeah.
And then they started to kind of like make them en masse a little bit. And so I custom ordered this one. It was like the 6-month wait, and it's an awesome guitar. Like it's very unique and does its own thing. And then I was looking in, because recently I was like, oh, whatever happened? You don't see them much anymore. And all the distributors pulled them. And I looked, and they had been sold off to some other company now.
As long as Fender didn't buy them.
No, they didn't. It wasn't like a big company. It's some other small company. And I think they're going to continue to do them, but I think they're going to do the cheaper versions only.
So that just got more valuable.
Hopefully.
I don't see how it wouldn't.
Yeah,
eventually.
but it does make me sad because I've recommended them to people before, and now they kind of just won't get made the same way.
Don't they
anymore.
make the one that looks like a Telly but has like a carved top Les Paul body with the binding on it?
They absolutely
That
do.
is one of the coolest guitars I've ever seen in my life.
They've done a few things like that, but that is one of the only times I've ever seen like the Les Paul Telly ever look right.
Yeah, it looked like a Les Paul and a Telly had a baby.
Yeah. And that guitar was crazy expensive.
Yeah, it was
it was
7-8 grand.
Yeah,
something like that?
seven grand I think was what it was. So crazy expensive. This was nowhere near that, but I really still a lot of sentimental value in this guitar that I will never ever sell, even if I don't play it. Moving on here, T mentioned I love the SEs, the Zach Meyer especially. I've gassed for a Zach Meyer SE like multiple times in my life. That's the semi hollow.
Oh yeah, like the one that comes in seafoam green.
Yes.
They had a used one here at Long Oak Hay.
Oh, did
like
they?
A few months ago, yeah.
Person-
Didn't last long.
What was the? Do they have a gray? Is it gray? The other color?
I don't know. It's the
I
only
think
one I've
it's.
seen.
I think it's like whitey gray black, like white gray black kind of thing. And I love that guitar so much. I would be very close to buying one. They're very affordable too. Actually.
Yeah, they are. I think it was going for like 6 at the.
Yeah, 600. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Canadian.
Yep.
It's pretty good. Yeah, that's all I got.
And then that's all I'll take.
Any other questions in there, Nate?
I don't think so.
Nope. Okay. Let's see. Looks like we're all caught up in chat. Do you want to maybe jam out the end? Any ideas? We can do.
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I was just playing.
Okay, let me think. Let me think.
Oh, my legs are so I can barely stand up. Yesterday was leg day for the first time in like 3 weeks. I'm like,
I'm just gonna play. I'll play some open chords, and you can play over them. Does that work?
Steve by.